Welcome back to the channel. We're going to change things up on you guys a little bit. What you're looking at here in this pile of parts is a project I've been working on for a pretty good while. Unfortunately, I got a pretty good head start on you, but we didn't necessarily intend to put this on the channel. We're just kind of holding off a little bit for our next big project. We got something really cool coming up for you guys, but in the meantime, this is what it's going to be. And what this is the beginnings of a quick coupler for the John Deere 210 landscape loader. We use this thing mainly just for lifting. I mean, the bucket's handy. We do some dirt work with it, but mainly just lifting. That chain and those hooks stay on there pretty much full time. We use the box blade for fixing up the driveway and this and that, but overall, mainly just lifting. So I got it probably 5 years ago with the intentions of putting a quick coupler on it, and our John Deere dealer in San Antonio is pretty much worthless, so I've had to resort to building it myself. So that's where I'm at. Got to build it. And I've never really done anything like this before, so it's a little bit scary, but what I'm trying to accomplish here with all these holes, they're all drilled on size to fit the stock. So I'm going to bore this stuff out, what takes pins. Like this is where a pin boss goes, where it pins to the loader arms. I want to get this in here. I'm going to use the round stock to hold all this stuff relatively perfect. So I'm going to try to avoid line boring, because line boring is expensive. I can't do it myself, so we're going to avoid it at all costs. But that's what we're up to with this stuff. First thing we got to do is some machining. We need to cut some of this stock down. We need to bore it out for pins, stuff like that. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to head over to Uncle Rudy's and do some machining.
All right, sounds like fun. Looks like a glove, kind of.
Yep, that's what you want. another part done. That's just going to be a bushing or a boss, whatever you want to call it, for this. So I think it just kind of rides in here. When you engage it, it'll slip into the brackets that are welded on the bucket. Of course, it'll go through this bushing, one of those plates like this. I think this one, yeah. So it'll be welded on there like that. I don't think it's welded to this one. I think it's welded to the next one. But it'll go through two of these and slide into that, and your bucket brackets will be sandwiched in here and captured by the pin. And when you want to get rid of the bucket or whatever, the pin will slide out like that. That's how that's going to work.
Yep.
It's pretty tight tolerances. Hopefully it stays put. I mean, that's a big ask, but that's the dream. If everything stays put, we won't have to do a whole lot of sanding on inside of any of this stuff to get it to work. Well, we're back at the shop. We've got all our parts cut. It's quite a bit of machining, but I think we're all ready to go here. So these two pieces here, that is 2 5/8 OD. This is what the hook for your bucket would hang on. This is going to be the top bar that goes across there, and these are just cut down a little bit to where they fit inside this tube. These two pieces are going to be just like dummy bars. They're sacrificial. They're going to help with alignment, and whenever it's done, I'll just have to cut them out. These two pieces here are the pin bosses for the loader arms. And these are pin bosses too. This is where the cylinder hooks up and the dog bone or whatever that piece is called. I don't know what it is, but they're pin bosses too. And then these are kind of pin bosses too. This is where the pin for the actual quick coupler rides. So that's pretty much all the machining. I think we're ready to start putting this thing together. Been a long time coming, so let's get to it. So the plan of attack for this thing is going to be to weld it down to this table. I originally planned on welding it to a piece of I-beam, but I think it's just going to be a little unwieldy because it's going to be super heavy. So flipping it over to weld it ain't really going to be an option, I don't think. So I think we'll just weld it down to the table, build it upright, kind of the way it would be oriented. And it's a good opportunity to use our jack legs so we can get the table level, get it welded down. We can work off a level and try to keep everything nice and square, true, because that's going to be key on this deal. So that's what we're going to do. Should be level here, and it is. The first piece, this is kind of the base plate. What we're going to have to do, because of those dummy bars, we're going to have to start on one end. Just start tacking them on here, like so. That one goes there. This one goes like that. so on. And once we get halfway through, we can stick the dummy bars in and slide the pieces on there. Have to get our drawing out, mark out all the measurements for these things, and then start tacking them on. So from outside to outside of our first bar, we got 52 and 3/16. So we'll find our center, measure out, put a couple of marks there. And then our outside of the next one is 40 and a half. And we'll just keep going down the line and we'll lay them all out. And then start tacking them from this side towards the center. I may only put one tack because we're going to need this round stock to line it all up. That's the plan anyway. Alright. See how long it takes those to break and kill us.
Not long, but it's worth a shot.
So this
one
is a piece of 2.5 inch stock cold rolled. And in the world we live in, you can buy 2.5 inch solid stock cheaper than you can buy 2.5 inch DOM tubing, hollow. So although it's going to add about 40 pounds to this thing, which is unfortunate, it's hard to justify almost double in cost. Feel nice and free. That's what we want. Hopefully it stays that way all the way to the end. Wouldn't that be marvelous?
I know what to think.
All the way down. Probably just let it there, sit there and hold it. $175.4. This is 176. Must have been getting some deflection in our homemade pouring bar we made. Yeah, this is 176. 2, 3, 1.
directions on going in there.
All right. So a hole here for the pin on these particular pieces, for whatever reason, is too small. Not sure where I dropped the ball, but in my defense, I wasn't using a mill. I had a homemade boring bar in a Winona valve grinding machine, valve seat machine. So no fitty. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna get one of these in a die grinder, jam it in there, which I don't know if a die grinder is going to turn it, but we're going to give it a shot. We're going to try to open this up until it fits, and then we can go back to where we were. Try this first.
Watch, boys.
Do some work here. Oof. There we go. Yeah, I don't like it too much. Getting there though. This is painful.
Like every time it's the same.
Yeah, it's going in there like a quarter of an inch. Just on the front. Ain't going in the back at all. Still. Oh, Lord help me. Like it.
Yeah, I think it will.
Can we still get them in there?
That's the only question I was wondering. She got some slop. Oh yeah. Well, uh-oh.
No clear. We just have to leave these till last. Maybe now we can get some tacks on this thing.
One deck.
That's about all the tacking we can do for now. We're gonna have to cut some plate. It goes in here. There's another one in the front. I think one goes in here. And I think one goes between these two. These we're just gonna leave out for now because we, well, it doesn't clear this dummy bar here. That's why these are just kind of dangling. But once all this is tacked up and welded out, cut the dummy bars out, and then we can roll these into plates. Put the real crossbar on top and finish up the center part. So I'm gonna get to cutting some plate, get all this bracing cut up, and we'll start tacking that in and do some welding. All right, so I got most of the parts cut and cleaned up. I'm gonna go ahead and start tacking them in. There's still a couple of more to cut, but I'm gonna go ahead and tack these in if for no other reason to clear the table off so I have some more room. But I'm not gonna weld inside of here. Some of these places are gonna be hard to get to, if not impossible, once these plates are in here boxing this stuff in, but that's the way John Deere does it. I don't know if they do it that way for speed in production, or if they're doing that to stiffen the whole thing up before they do all that welding. So without knowing that, I'm going to do it just the way they do it. I'm going to put basically the whole thing together before I do any welding. So there's going to be places that won't be welded, but that's the way they do it. That's the way I'm going to do it. I think she's all tacked up. So I'll give you a little walk around so you can see a little bit better what's going on. We got all kind of bracing in here. This is kind of like a gusset. This is where your hook would hang for your bucket or forks or whatever. This is the front. We got plates in here. We got a plate in the center. Got some little gussets here. And we got some half moon shaped gussets up here. I'm pretty happy with how this thing come together, honestly. So here's our dummy bars. This is, you know, where the pins will run. That thing's still moving. It's nice and free. This one here is snug, but it still turns too. So I'm feeling pretty confident that it might actually work when I get done. So we got our pin bosses in here for the loader arms. And we still need to get the center done, but again, I'm gonna get this thing welded out. And that top bar is a dummy too. That one's gotta come out. And the real one will go in later. I think that's pretty much all the tacking I'm gonna do for now. I'll go ahead and start welding. Get this thing welded out. Cut the dummy bars out. And move on from there. Well, we got all our pieces in here. We're roughly, I'd say halfway welded out, maybe. We're being generous. And I'd say so far so good. At least this dummy bar is still nice and loose, which it was a little looser to begin with. This one here is pretty well jammed up. That was kind of to be expected. These bosses didn't swell enough to make any noticeable difference. Still got a nice fit on our pin, so that's good. That was one thing that was a big concern of mine. I was afraid I was gonna have to go in there and do a whole bunch of polishing after it was welded to get the pins to go back in. So I'm gonna keep on welding, see if I can get this thing all welded out. We'll pull that top bar. Well, we could pull those two if we wanted to. And we'll get these two in place where they belong. Here we go. A little smoky in here. Well, I think that's about as far as we can go. I think all this is all welded out. That was a lot of welding. I'm just glad that's done. This one stayed nice and loose. This one stayed stuck, which is to be expected, I guess. I mean, it's going through eight bars, lining up 8 holes. So it is asking a lot. Hopefully it'll come out of there. Check our pin here. Oh yeah. Still got a nice fit in there, thankfully. So far, so good. Try this one. Oh yeah. Very nice. Well, I'm happy with it so far. Hopefully the trend continues. But I'm gonna let this thing cool off because it is blistering hot. And then cut these bars out. So obviously there's no way to slide them out. They're captured by the way they're machined. It's got a shoulder on it right here, which is helping to position this. But yeah, I'll have to cut those out. More than likely have to cut the top one out because it was pretty tight when we put it in there. I don't see any way to slide it out. And I'll give it a good old college try, but I'm not holding my breath. And get all those cut out. Then I can put the real top bar in and get these in. Then we'll be in the home stretch. All right, well, hopefully y'all enjoyed this episode. If this thing isn't really your speed, just bear with us for a few weeks. We got something really awesome coming up. We're excited to get started on. We're just not quite there yet. But as promised last week, we got the goods here. Milwaukee Packout organizer box. These things are pretty awesome. So don't forget to get entered in that by just subscribing to the channel, going to the comments and type subscribe. And if you like the video, hit that thumbs up button while you're at it. But we appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next one.